My inspiration comes from almost 2 decades of doing organizing work in this community. And I would say it starts when I was younger, from being my student body president to going to this program called Girl State and being elected as Attorney General. Protesting Clarence Comet Thomas while I was in college about affirmative action. So I've had like a varied kind of inspiration. I've just always been taught to be a servant to your community. I get that from my parents. And when I moved to Georgia, Savannah, I just fell in love with the people more so the place.
Okay.
And it was just such an amazing spotlight because yes, there was like things I've never seen before, which was like a black mayor, a black chief of police, a black fire chief. When I moved here, Otis Johnson was mayor. And those are just experiences that I wanted my son to experience. And it just has a lot more opportunity than people think, if you put the work in. And so I am now thinking about how this area has poured so much into me, and I want to pour back, and step up and run for office and see if there's a way that we can get someone to represent the whole district, and all of our needs and not just a few. And a lot of folks want to be heard
Yeah.
and making sure people feel like I'm hearing them, I'm taking in what they're saying, and that they trust me, um, to do the thing I said I'm going to do, right? And so it's such a short amount of time frame, and you're building trust, and you're also trying to prove who you are and identify yourself to these folks. And I think for me, was like the hardest thing was like a lot of people knew me but didn't know me, if that makes
hmm
sense.
hmm
Folks that heard my name in passing, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And it was also because I decided to work virtually at national organizations. And
Okay.
so I didn't really get to do more of the community work like the last 3 or 4 years, but I always made sure if there was resources my job offered wherever I was, I always brought them back home.
Okay.
So from making sure I gave grant dollars to the Deltas and some other folks for a party at the polls, to now I hosted with Mark Lamont Hill a cultural day of advocacy with Savannah Black Heritage Festival in February, and we gave away a bunch of merch and we had some amazing speakers, local speakers too. And so that's just really like I was like, oh, I forgot, like out of sight, out of mind. Got to make sure you remind folks that like you've been doing this, right? And
Right.
so that's been the most interesting thing. Like folks are like, "Oh, I heard of you." Like they talk about me like as a lore.
They're like, you're real. Oh, wow.
Yeah. They're like, "Oh my God, you're real." I'm like, "Yes, yeah."
When when they're talking to you, so when we're talking about like the issues, right? And I looked at your campaign, of course, or your platform, and you're having to do a lot of listening. Is there a particular piece of your platform that you find that people are saying to you, like, this is actually the issue that keeps coming up?
It's an issue, but I don't have it on my platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of becoming bipartisan. It's Trump.
Mm.
And when I call and talk to voters, they're like, I go like, what are issues on top of mind? And they're like, oh, you don't have the time. And I say, yeah, I do. And we go into like about a good strong 10 minutes just about him.
Okay.
Um, and just how disgusted they are and all this stuff. And then I try to get them to come back center.
Mm-hmm.
And really like, I'm like, okay, but do you know someone on Medicaid? Do you know someone who doesn't have health care? How are your grandkids? If I'm talking to someone older, and then they slowly, once they get rid of their outrage, they start coming to like, let me tell you the thing I'm really concerned about.
Okay.
And that's the thing, right? Like there's a horrible administration, but like we still care about very specific issues, and none of them are going away, especially under this administration. Um, but what they want to hear is someone's thinking about solutions for them.
So, running for U.S. House, and of course, the House can start the process of impeachment, things like that. And so, is this something that is coming up as well if they're coming and talking to you about Trump? Because that is a question that constituents have on like why hasn't that happened? And I'm sure there's plenty of reasons for that. But have you
Well,
felt
unfortunately,
that pressure? Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead. I'm
I was
sorry.
wondering if you had felt that. I don't want to say pressure or the desire maybe from constituents.
So, because I'm not the only one running for this office.
Mm-hmm.
And like some folks, they come right off the bat with their opening speech. We're going to get rid of Trump. We're going to impeach him. We're going to do all these things. And I'm not like that
Mm-hmm.
because I hear more so about people who are like, I need transportation. I'm not going to lose my health care next month. I don't know how I'm going to pay a bill versus like, my electricity bill versus a water bill, right? And so I try to like remind people that yes, there's him, but there's also like real issues that we need to solve in real time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, about the impeachment thing and the 25th Amendment, I love it as a talking point. I feel like it's also just like abolish ICE. It is a slogan that we're letting get crazy, but we don't know actually the mechanics to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think he should be impeached. I do think he should be removed. But it's up to the vice president and his cabinet to do it.
Got you.
And unless we find him ill, there's no way to do that.
Got you. Mm-hmm. So, with that said, I'm sure it's like, all right, what can we do and what can we use our energy towards? Have you thought about the type of people like in this upcoming election, these midterms election, the type of people that need to be elected for you as a House of Representative, like member to do your best work in that role?
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
here when I think about Georgia and the things we need, like we need a Democratic governor. Who's going to draw the money down and fully fund education, actually implement Medicaid, figure out a state policy in order to create ACA tax credits. Like, like I can only do so much at the federal level, and I know that. And I can, listen to folks and, give money for, fire departments or whatever it is, or like try to figure out how to create an affordable housing grant. But like to really impact the state, like we need someone who wants to do the work.
Mhm.
And for so long, we've had some really great representatives that are Democratic, and they've been doing great ways to work within their districts, but no one's been able to really pull it down and say like, how do we? And not even Senator Warnock or Ossoff. How
Mhm.
do we change Georgia in the positions that we are on the Hill? And it's been like little incremental things. I mean, both of them have done stuff around insulin and, capping prescription prices. And, both of them are highly interested in like what is affordable housing. And I would say most of the representatives in the House are on the same page in there. And of course, protecting our civil rights. But without a governor that is on our team, it's hard to do the work.
Yeah.
But I want to work with everyone, right? Because where I live in the first congressional district where we live, there's different counties and some counties are made up differently and they're hard to move. But maybe I can woo another county to do this thing or want to get these dollars and they can go back and tell the county, like, it didn't hurt us. Like, it actually improved everything. So we're glad we did it.
Okay.
I,
Mm.
like the best example I can give is in Glenn County. They have public transportation within the city, but they don't have it in the county.
Okay.
And so like folks aren't being able to get jobs in the county if they live in the city. And like, all those things, you can't go to your kids' schools and you can't, do the extracurricular stuff with your kids because you have limited travel and transportation. So, and even, I did a tour of Georgia Ports Authority today.
Mhm.
And I asked them what was the labor market like and what's the hardest thing for them. And they said transportation, one, and then they said education was two.
Okay, so them getting there.
Yeah,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
It's a big thing. And when they
Uh-huh.
say transportation, they were very specific that people don't have driver's license.
Okay.
And then on top of that, they don't have a car.
Right. And you got to drive everywhere down here.
You do. You
Everywhere.
do. You
Mm.
do. And so that, they'll like have someone give them a ride to apply for the job or apply online, but you
Mm.
can't get the job.
Mhm.
Like it would be like if Senator Mallow or Representative Ann Alice Westbrook who
Hmm.
represents there, or Representative Al Williams, um, was to say like, there's this programming that we need and we need it to be, we don't have the money here in the state. They could talk to us and they could
Gotcha.
talk to us and say like, these are some things that we're coming up on short. How could you help us design some sort of programming or some sort of grant in order to, get some directed dollars to us?
That's what I needed to hear. I think sometimes people are a little disconnected on like who does what job and like how it
Hmm.
really
Oh, they very
impacts
much
them.
are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so it's like I need people to understand this is how they're working together and this is what that means.
Yeah,
So it's important who you elect on your local level, on your state level, on the federal level, because they're kind of all talking to each other to get money and programming and access to your city, your town, your
correct.
community.
Yeah. And I think
Hmm.
it's counties have the most power because they have the larger
Hmm.
budgets. And they apply for a lot of federal dollars. Counties do.
Okay.
And so when you have a county that's just not into it, it actually is devastating. So you could have a local government like a city council, or a city manager who's like, man, we really need this programming, but it's only going to be within our city because the county doesn't want to come with us, which is like the example of the transportation in Glenn County. Um, and so you folks don't understand why it's happening. Like my favorite, the most chronic question I get is like, what am I going to do about education? What am I going to do about class sizes? And I'm like, man, I wish I could change that. But
Yeah.
that's a district issue. That is an issue with the state government about how we fund education, about how we pay teachers, the recruitment, the whole thing, right? And that's hyper local. But what I can do for K through 12 is make sure we're bringing dollars down to make sure it's fully funded, to make sure we're not cutting those Head Start programs, seeing how we can actually expand Head Start programs to really address the daycare crisis that we're having in this country. Um, Also, making sure college is more accessible. We now have all these caps on college. We're diverting dollars from the HBCUs. And so trying to reinstate some of those things and making sure, like that works in tandem with like the Hope Scholarship,
Hmm.
in the state. And so people are really able to maximize their opportunities for second, higher education. Or even when you look at like technical schools, like thinking about how do we give them more muscle? What do they need to in order to expand their programming or to expand their footprint? Because that would be something that on the federal level I could help.
Okay. Got it.
So it's more so like governors and state legislators, county commissioners, mayors, all those folks, even sheriffs, and DAs they would have an open door policy with me where I would be able to talk to them and we
Hmm.
could start addressing some of those issues
Okay.
that they're finding that is a bottleneck for them. What is the gap and where does the federal government come in to fill the gap
Hmm.
for these folks on the state, county level, and local level?
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then there's some responsibility, a lot of responsibility on that state, county, local level to be aware of the gaps and make them aware, like make you aware of them. Right.
Correct. And a lot of
Makes
people
sense.
have told our former Representative Carter, Buddy Carter, that, there's gaps and he doesn't return their calls. He hasn't had a town hall in 10 years. And
Hmm.
so
Let's talk about some things changing in the area. Um, on your platform, you have climate resilience. Full disclosure, when I was in fifth grade, I was in this group called Earth Friends. Stuck with me ever since. What are your thoughts as far as like how we are protecting the environment in this area, this coastal area, lots of wildlife, all of that?
we're not doing a good job at it. And there's river keepers who do that job. I think we have to get more into land use conversations and how land is being used and if we're contaminating land that's being used. Um, and it was devastating having this administration roll back the IRA. That was probably the most forward-thinking, environment-centered piece of legislation that ever created, and it had a whole bunch of money to
Hmm.
give people a whole bunch of jobs to make us more sustainable. And now it's like, well, maybe we can go after the coastline, like what can we push past this Congress now in order to get this going? And that's kind of sad. The data center thing is twofold.
Yeah.
Um, One, a lot of these little counties and municipalities are going broke. We're in an economic crisis, and they can't raise their taxes, and they can't raise the millage rate because people are like, "But I don't want you to raise my property tax, but I want X, Y, and Z." Well, it takes money to operate a city government,
Hmm.
and so if these people come in with a lot of overblown statistics and falsehoods about the benefits of data centers, they're going to say yes
Hmm. Hmm.
because we keep telling them no. Like the city of Port Wentworth, they denied it, but they were wooing folks. The nickel refinery in Bryan County, that was wooed by the local county officials, and that business deal came through somehow, some way, right? And so
Hmm.
I think it's having like a little bit more transparency and like everyone is going to have to give up something in order to prevent data centers from coming. We either need to have more community administration input where folks are doing community benefit agreements. We're bringing more community members in the table. We're being transparent about the situation with our finances and why we were pursuing these type of business partnerships or these type of businesses in our areas, and then making sure like people understand the hard decision that we're all about to make.
You are the chief of campaigns at Color of Change. Can you tell me a little bit about what that entails? All that that entails.
I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
We do a lot of digital online organizing. I've been there about a year and a half. Um, I'm very proud of our work that I've gotten to lead. So like and support leadership on. So we delivered 4,000 signatures to the Board of Regents to stop the audit of the Smithsonian, or what people was calling the Black Smithsonian. So that was awesome. Um, we helped support some legislation being passed in Massachusetts about selling your data around location, because we found that they would sell people's like where you went to the doctor, and that would endanger women
Yep.
because you would find out if someone went
Yep.
to have a yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Hmm.
Today, though I am a little like low energy because I'm tired, what does like make me smile is that on March 8th, we ran an ad in the New York Times, full page ad, and
Yes.
got 61 organizations to come with us to call out the corporate mergers that are happening and reversing of DEI in order to appease this government. And so it was a very heavy worded letter
Hmm.
calling them out, naming them. And then right now in Times Square, we have an ad running against Goldman Sachs Foundations called Goldman Sachs Gives, because Goldman Sachs Gives was, they called it things called a donor, a DAF, which is like a donor advised funding. So
Hmm.
like when like it's a 401(k) or something like that, but where your money is going is like supposed to be to benevolent organizations. We found out a few years ago before these people got back in office that like these DAFs were giving money to Stephen Miller and Ed Bloom, and they're
Hmm.
nonprofits. Their
Hmm.
nonprofits led the fight. They got rid of I mean, they almost effectively got rid of like affirmative action or DEI in
Hmm.
this country. And this DAF is funding it. And so now we have a whole ad that says Goldman Sachs gives funds segregation. Goldman Sachs gives funds, and I can send you pictures, funds attacks on civil rights and DEI. And Goldman Sachs came back and was like, absolutely not. In this American Banker article, we have no control over this, blah, blah, blah. But in light of the recent administration's guidelines, we're trying to adhere to those. Goldman Sachs had a program where they were like 1 million black women after George Floyd, and their promise was to put $10 billion in a fund to help
Yeah.
1 million black women become entrepreneurs.
Right.
And they deleted that. Well, the program still exists. It's called something else. They removed the word black from all of their
Yeah.
paperwork. They've gotten rid of anything that leans into diversity and says it's like open community or some bull crap. I don't know what it is. But yeah, they like literally in the last year undid all the work that they said that they were going to do
Right.
after George Floyd just to appease this government. So those are
Hmm.
the things that we're working on now. We have a tax justice report coming out where we're talking to Black people about taxes. We're not talking about tax returns. We're talking about the tax code and
Yes.
how the tax code taxes Black folks higher,
Yeah.
and how we perpetuate this theory of financial literacy and just save when we can actually codify and point to places in the tax code that penalize Black folks,
Mm-hmm.
or how undereducated we are at using the tax code to benefit ourselves, like the folks who can write off their whole life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We are running some campaigns called Fair Pay, Fair Price. And so
Mm-hmm.
we have some meetings coming up with like Instacart and Real Pages. We've been finding that, especially for Black folks online, when they're trying to look for a job or they're trying to look for an apartment, like when they put in their data, the algorithm reports back higher pricing or lower pricing for pay or something like that. And, it's been long known, especially when you talk to Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, that they start in rich neighborhoods so they can make more money because it's reading it's geo-targeting where they are
Right.
versus looking where their home address is. And so we're calling them to the table on that. And, it's not the big sexy thing, but it's a nuanced thing that actually impacts people's everyday lives
Right.
that we're trying to fight in the digital space.
This is what we mean when we say systemic.
Yes.
When we say systemic, it's like it's in
Yes.
everything, okay?
Yeah, like tech is wonderful, but man, boy, are we not designing from the margins. We are designing. It's a probably white heterosexual male 9 times out of 10,
Mm-hmm.
who's designing some of these softwares that we're using, and their biases are there.
Right.
And they show up, and just the idea of like there was something where the administration wants to use. I just saw it. I'm gonna find it, and I was like, oh boy, the IRS wants to use AI to create smarter audits. And it's been known in the past that Black and brown folks get audited like 3 times more than their non-Black and brown counterparts.
Right.
And so, like that's scary that they're like defaulting to this tool, and the tool is flawedly designed.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a catch-22, right? So like I'm on the
Mm-hmm.
campaign trail and people are telling me their problems or their challenges. And I'm like, well, let me solve that right now
Mm.
because I have the resources and the ability to do that. So let's start a petition. I'll connect you with my organizers. Let's get you
Yeah.
some training. Let's build a coalition. Like I helped try to train some folks around water coalition here. And some folks were ready, some folks weren't ready, and that's okay because you got to meet people where they are. But I find, like I think I'm unique as a candidate because
Mhm.
I can help people with their problems now, while the other candidates are like, wait till I get into the office.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, we don't have to do that now. We don't have to wait. We can do that now.
Mm.
I have people who can help you.
I want to know if you have any words of advice. Here's the therapist part, right? Because I think a lot of folks are a little overwhelmed, disconnected right now,
A lot of heads in the
and
sand.
there's a lot of things that need to change. And from what I've learned about you, it's like you're an expert change maker, like expert at, let me tell you how we can make a change. This is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So,
Someone just said that about me.
so what do you say to the person who is overwhelmed? They want to see some change, but it's almost like they're frozen, stuck in that frozen space rather than like having the energy or the resolve to get moving.
I mean, I ask folks, what is the thing that's like slowing you up? Like, what are your big things that like are giving you shock to not take action? Okay, let's address those things. Are they real? Or are you just overwhelmed by media? And so you've internalized this thing in a way that your anxiety is like through the roof. Like, trust me, when I tell you, some of my volunteers are amazing, but some of them live in their anxiety. And so they show up with all their anxiety. They're like, Amanda, we need stamps. We need postcards. We got to get out. We got to save the world. And I'm always like, yes, yes, Bernice. But also,
Let's take 3 deep breaths.
right. Like, baby, we know this is not a sprint. Like, this is a marathon for reals.
Hmm.
And these folks, I tell folks all the time, I'm like, man, these people have been working on this plan to get here for 60 years since Roe v. Wade, since civil rights, right?
Yeah.
And just to figure out how to regain power, like they ever lost it. And then, I tell people you got to take incremental wins, especially when it comes on federal level and
Mm.
policy. Because how dare I think because I'm in office or because I do this work as an advocate that I'm going to make everything better when we're talking about 400 plus years of oppression on a specific type of person.
Ain't that the truth? That's a bit of a weight lift as well. Like you don't
Yeah,
have to
it
do it
is. I'm
all. You
like,
don't have to do it all right now.
yeah. But if I can see a win, I'm gonna go get that win.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Like I'm not waiting. Like
Yeah.
my thing is very much so like, that's bet. Say less.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. It's like take the power where you see the power and you can take it.
Absolutely. And then try to add that to the pot of things and like build the snowball kind of method of
Right.
things and try to get to the big one. And I think, people be scared
Yeah.
and they move in their fear and they project their fear on other folks. And I am hoping and praying that people aren't afraid to vote for me when we go to the ballot. And like some of the candidates I run against are running in fear. They're running on like, this is going to happen if you don't vote for me, and this is going to happen if you don't vote for me. Never like what you going to do for somebody else.
Right.
Never
Mm-hmm.
talking about them, the voter, right? You,
Mm-hmm.
the constituent. They're always talking about like, I'm your savior, but these are the things you have to do in order to get my saving, in order
Mm-hmm.
for me to save you, which is
Mm-hmm.
wild. And why did we have to wait for you to save them and help them until you get in office? That's crazy. If you
Mm-hmm.
say you're qualified now, then if you say you're qualified to run for Congress, then you qualified to help somebody right now, ain't you?
Right now.
Right
Right
now.
now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Call
But
them
God,
out on it, right? Like,
right.
okay.
I do
Yeah, you do. I guess, yeah,
all the time. I'm like, what are you talking about?
you
Like, no, like, no, and I know the power of what we can do. Like I've seen it. And no, like I think one of the proudest moments was helping support my lead organizer at work. The family of Keith Porter reached out. This was before them other folks got murdered in Minneapolis. Keith Porter got
do.
murdered by well, let me take that back. He was unalived by a off-duty ICE agent in California.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
family was tight because they would not release the name of the ICE agent. And so they came to us and we worked with Black Lives Matter LA and got like 20,000 signatures, helped support them do a press conference, and they got that name released.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
no, nah, I'm not waiting. Now, if you don't know, just order it. But like these college babies, there's still people waiting for the absentee ballot from last election.
Oh my goodness. I did an absentee ballot one time and it didn't
Hmm.
count. And I was like,
See?
interesting.
Yeah. So like when we did the PSC race, a lot of college students did not get, and some folks, friends of mine, did not get their ballot.
Mm, yeah.
So if you can go in, like make it a trip, do the thing. We got what strolls to the polls on Sundays out here.
Right.
We will have whatever Saturday theme these folks come up with. I will be there to encouraging you to go
Yeah.
vote. Well, I know my team will have sign waivers on the first day and the last day to get the enthusiasm up. But yeah, like you gotta one, you have to inform people. Like I've made hundreds of calls this week to voters, and I was shocked how many people didn't know we had a primary. They were like, no, 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 I'm voting in November. And I was like, no, love, I need you to vote in the primary.
Vote
But
now.
because,
Yeah.
yes, but because they listen to the national news and national news keeps saying in
Right.
November, and everyone's like, yeah, I got till November. And I'm like, no, it's not how it works.
You want to choose the candidate, you got to start now, please.
Right, right. I was like,
Yeah.
if you want to have the choice, which is me, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you want to vote for me in May 19th so we can get to November. But we're going to be voting a lot. That's the other thing. We are going to be voting a lot. So the
Hmm.
whole state um, will go to a runoff after the primary because there's so many of us running, which is good energy. So they say. Like, I have eight in mine. The Republicans for the same seat have like seven or eight on theirs. We got 50 million, 11 governors running.
Hmm.
We got
Hmm.
you.
We do. Because I'm like, I try to do my I'm over here like trying to research each
You are gonna have
thing.
to. Someone told me at the event, the data event I was at last night, they were like, "Man, I printed up my ballot. It's 17 pages," and I was like, "You lying?"
What? So I didn't even attempt to do that. So yeah, that's a lot of people.
I was like, "How do you have it formatted? Did you double sided it?" Like,
Right.
mhm.
Right. So that's something to definitely to keep in mind. Like, I definitely want people to be informed of
You
who's
have to be
running.
prepared for this election. You have got to read your ballot before you go vote. You have to.
Agree. And I don't think running away from that preparation is going to be the answer this go around because it really is. Like, if you think it's not, if you think it's bad now, let the wrong person win. Let the wrong
Boy,
person win. Like, that's not,
I hope they have learned their lesson.
yeah, me too. Me too.
You know what I mean? What they say out here, goody for you.
Yeah. There it is. Well, I really appreciate you. I know I'm coming up on time. I appreciate your time. Like, this has been so informative. I'm so
Thank
excited
you.
to share it.
Yeah. So we've
Uh,
got a lot of volunteer opportunities
okay.
from phone banking to canvassing because we got to go knock on these doors, to postcard writing to even texting. And so if you go to amandaforga.com, Amanda for Georgia, you can click the button volunteer and sign up to volunteer for us. Or if you're on Mobilize, all of our events are on there. So you just look up Amanda for Georgia on Mobilize.
Awesome. And as a reminder, running for U.S. House of Representatives District 1, and that is Savannah, Richmond Hill, Hinesville. Are we down to
It's
Brunswick?
15 counties
Like,
and
I was
two
trying to name the
cities.
big ones. Like, so y'all can,
Yeah. So it's Brunswick, it's Hinesville, it's Midway, it's Ware,
yep,
it's Jessup, it's Baxley, it's a little bit of Rinkin, Guyton, and Effingham, and
hmm,
it's Pooler, it is Whitmarsh, Tybee,
yep.
yeah,
Bryan, Richmond Hill, wait,
St. Mary's,
yep, yep.
yeah.
Okay, we got, there
And
is
I've been
hope.
to most of them. I've been to almost most of them.
That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, and well, my car doesn't think so, but and I got to get ready to do round two to go visit these people. But the demand is real, and I like really appreciate folks who are like, Amanda, can you come speak here? Can you come do this?
Yes,
I'm like, yes, I can. But man, I would love to like go do the just do my one last circle,
yeah.
and say hi to all these folks I met a couple months ago.
Yes, because we didn't even touch on. I just knew we were gonna talk about motherhood too. We didn't even touch on that because I'm like, oh
We
yeah,
did.
and doing this and those, just the familial obligations that we have or responsibilities. So, uh, if you ever want to drop the energy routine, I don't know, maybe you're taking a special drink or something. I don't, but to keep going.
Water, lots of water.
Drink your water. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much, Aaron.
Absolutely.